Welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host Mason Kern, here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. And obviously I'm certainly glad you decided to join me this morning. And as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we have an NFL-themed interview portion of the show, as we'll be hearing from Gemará Williams, the former NFL defensive back, as well as Anthony Smith, the two-time Super Bowl champion NFL safety. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics as usual, and for you basketball-specific fans, interesting happenings on the Hardwood. So sticking with our NFL-themed portion, like I said before, of the interview section, in sports hot topics this week, we're not going to talk NFL, but we're going to talk college football. So I want to keep it local here first, because Arizona State predicted to finish last in the Pac-12 South by the media in the preseason. Nobody thought this Sun Devils team was really going to make any headway, any waves really. And now they have a chance to win the Pac-12 South, potentially make a Pac-12 championship berth. Now, a lot of people have given a lot of criticism to senior quarterback Manny Wilkins, offensive coordinator Rob Likens. Really, the only mainstay who has gotten a lot of love from the Sun Devil fan base is junior wide receiver N'Keal Harry, because he arguably is one of the top ASU wide receivers of all time, has consistently put on good performances, and the Sun Devil fan base loves him. But early on in the year, after ASU defeats UTSA, which everyone expected, 49-7, it was a blowout, they come out, they take on a Michigan State team at home, then ranked number 15 in the nation, and they beat them by 3, obviously last-second field goal as time expired by sophomore place kicker Brandon Reese. Gives the Sun Devils the win. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They get ranked number 23. It's their first time in the rankings since the 2015 preseason poll. Everyone, the excitement level is really high, and people are very, very encouraged by what they're seeing out of this ASU team. Then ASU goes on the road to San Diego State and loses by 7. They go on the road to Washington and lose by 7 again. And you have to remember, all 4 of ASU's losses this year have come by 7. There was San Diego State, there was Washington, and then Stanford at home. Their only loss of the year at home this season was to Stanford, also by 7. And then you also look at it and you have the game against Colorado at Colorado by 7 as well. So 3 road losses. ASU then goes on the road to USC, and they somehow escape with a win by 3. Again, another close victory. Finding their first road win of the season gives them a lot of confidence. Then they go and take on number 16, according to the AP poll, number 15, according to the college football playoff rankings, Utah at home, and they stomp them by 18. 38-20, have a breakout game. The offense all really came together. Manny Wilkins had 285 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. N'Keal Harry had over 100 yards, I think 161 yards receiving, a career-high 3 touchdowns. Eno Benjamin on pace to break a number of ASU records this year. He contributed 175 yards on the ground, and they come out and stomp Utah. Now they are in a position to win the Pac-12 South. They have head-to-head victories over USC and Utah now, who are basically the only other 2 teams in contention for a Pac-12 South title race. And people like the odds of ASU's chances, whereas in years past, that hasn't really been the case, especially when you look at, the offense has kind of struggled this year a little bit. Like I said before, Likens has taken a lot of heat for how he managed all of his offensive weapons in the past. And then you have the defense with new coordinator Danny Gonzalez from San Diego State. He's really turned this ASU defense around. It's really a complete 180 from even last year. You look at some just some of the stats, and it's pretty remarkable how different really this ASU defense looks. I mean, if you just take a look at a number of the stats that this defense has kind of reversed compared to last year, they went from 103rd to 36th in scoring, 111th to 47th in yards per play, 116th to 13th in 30-plus yards per play, and 50th to 10th in tackles for losses. So top 15 in 2 of those 4 categories, top 50 in all 4 of those categories. As a complete, like I said, 180 from the trajectory they were on last year, even under head coach Todd Graham. And this hiring of Danny Gonzalez under Herm Edwards, I mean, the defense has really shown out. The offense is really coming together later on as this season has progressed, and that is what has allowed this ASU team to be put in the place to win the Pac-12 South, which is completely different from what the media projected at the beginning of the year. Like I said, they also expected Khalil Tate from Arizona, the quarterback, to be a Heisman candidate, and he's playing better in recent weeks, but obviously, I mean, from the beginning of the year, not great. But they had ASU as 6th in the Pac-12 South. Now they're one of 3 teams who is most likely to win it. So, I mean, no chance that ASU ever this year at least makes a Pac-12 a college football playoff push. It's a little bit late for that, but ASU fans can also take solace in the fact that their team is in prime position to win the Pac-12 South and possibly even the whole Pac-12 if they put a good string of games together and make a good tournament push. But all right, guys, don't go anywhere. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. will be right back after this short break.
If you're losing your hair or notice that it's getting thinner, listen closely. You can do something about it without messy lotions or drugs. Now you can get clinically proven hair growth results at home with the Hair Max Laser. Hair Max delivers nourishing laser light energy to stimulate hair growth right at the roots. It's FDA cleared, recommended by doctors, and best of all, it has an amazing 93% success rate in clinical studies in both men and women, so you can be sure it works. Use it just 3 times a week and experience new hair growth, increased density, and healthier, fuller, more attractive hair in just weeks with a 5-month money-back guarantee. Now, for a limited time, save 15% on your Hair Max order at hairmax.com. Type in code RADIO at checkout or call 1-800-9REGROW. That's hairmax.com, code RADIO, or 1-800-9REGROW. Experience real hair growth and save 15% with Hair Max.
Hey there and welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Gemará Williams, a former NFL defensive back for the New England Patriots. Gemará spent over 4.5 years playing professional football and was part of the Patriots' 18-1 AFC champion and Super Bowl contesting team. With a plan to transition from professional sports into the business world, Gemará seemingly did the impossible. He earned his MBA while simultaneously playing football. Today, Gemará exudes his passion and competitive spirit in information technology as a client engagement executive for R.L. Canning Incorporated. He also serves as a solid member of the Chicago chapter NFLPA, NFL Alumni Group, and Chicago Speakeasy Men of Excellence. So Gemará is here today to share more insight into his NFL career as well as life after football. Hey, Gemará, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mason. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So, just to kind of get started into this, what made you kind of decide to pursue NFL or football even as a career for you in the first place?
It's a good question. Well, as a kid, I mean, everybody has that dream, right, of when you're playing sports and, you imagine you're Tom Brady or whoever that guy is, that iconic guy on television that you want to be. And so, as a kid, you have that, but I never saw myself as being that. Growing up, I wasn't the biggest kid. I mean, I went to high school 4'11", 100 pounds, so it was never really that passion for me. But I think as I continue to develop, physically and, as my talents continue to shine, going to college and earning a Division I scholarship. And I remember it was after my sophomore year where I had a really good season. There was a sports magazine that had me pound for pound listed as the #1 tackler in the nation. And I think at that point is where, agents were calling my house as a sophomore, speaking to my mom, and then it got to a point where I was like, well, maybe going to the NFL is a little easier than taking the MCAT. So I think that's really where that diversion, kind of came about. But, I always saw myself as, student athlete, student being number one and athlete being number two. And so, I guess football just ended up eventually choosing me.
Right, yeah, and I mean, that's obviously a great mindset to have, especially as a student athlete. But then how were you kind of able, as an undersized athlete, especially in football, able to kind of shake off possible criticism and all that doubt about you based on being a little bit undersized?
Well, for me, that form of adversity has always been something that I had to go through. So I went to a huge powerhouse from high school. In terms of football powerhouse, they were always one of the top schools in the nation in football, Brother Rice High School. And, coming in, as I told you, 4'11", 100 pounds,
right.
Most people stated that you'll never play there. So that mindset was always something that was embedded into me. And so I knew effort and having heart would be number one. And then speed. I mean, I was a fast guy. And so, as I continued to grow and develop, being able to utilize the gifts that I was blessed with to make myself surmount over, any opportunity and challenge, and just that competitive edge. And that's something that I think has also helped me in terms of making the transition from the field into, corporate America today, is just having that competitive edge.
Right, and then as you kind of transition then from the college game to the NFL, can you kind of take me through that process and what it was like getting your first professional contract?
No, that's a great. It's a great question. I would say in the first contract, everyone. So let me take a step back. Everyone thinks that as soon as you make it professionally, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is, that you just walk into millions and millions of dollars, and it's not that way at all. Some individuals, they're fortunate enough to come in with that, but that's not everybody's road. And so for me, coming into my first contract, I was more so enamored with the fact that, I'm a New England Patriot and got the actual NFL contract more over than the money, because the money wasn't a lot, in terms of a signing bonus. But eventually you grow and, you're able to obtain some wealth. But you also have to be financially conscious of your spending and, do a lot of self-education in addition to the knowledge and education that the NFLPA provides with you throughout that process. So one of the things that, I often talk to younger players about today is, when you first get to training camp or in the mini camps before training camp actually starts, you're there pretty much from May all the way until training camp is just about to kick off. And you have different seminars and classes on, financial matters, money matters, investments. I mean, the NFL provides these different things, but your focus and concentration at that time is on making the team. You have literally about 100 guys in camp, and, that's listed on the roster, but only 53 will make it.
Right.
And so while you're sitting in those seminars and in those classes, you're not necessarily focused. I think, if I could make a recommendation, I would highly encourage colleges for their athletes to provide or make mandatory classes for those student athletes, as they're going through their curriculum, because then you're forced to focus on it, and it's not something that's just a one class, two class type of deal. This is something that you're learning throughout the whole semester, and it'll help you and better prepare you for that transition.
Right. I mean, that transitional period, extremely important, especially in terms of being prepared. But as you kind of went throughout your career, what motivated you then to continue your education and then get your MBA?
Good question. So my brother and I, we made a pact. Our parents didn't graduate from college, neither went to college, and so we made a pact that no matter what, we'll be the first to walk across the stage and graduate from college. And so in my undergraduate, I graduated from University of Buffalo, major in chemistry, minor in bio, and I didn't actually get to walk across the stage because mini camp started at the same time of when my actual graduation. So, it kind of robbed of that dream, but it was like, hey, I'm going to the NFL. I got the degree. And so it didn't matter at that specific time. And, going in undergrad, I majored, wanted pre-med, wanted to be a doctor. But as I started to build relationships and, get into this professional sports world, I started seeing that business and entrepreneurship was something that I was really passionate about.
Right.
And so at that point, it started to change my perception of what I wanted to do once my career ended. And so from building relationships and understanding, in college it's often extremely difficult for, collegiate athletes to obtain an internship and be committed and consistent to it on top of your workouts and everything else that you're doing. Your resume, when you finish up, the only thing it really has on there is football, right? So going and obtaining my master's, earning my master's degree, which, again, the NFLPA is great in terms of helping those NFL athletes out in terms for postgraduate education and, helping to guide individuals in that direction. I started prepping myself as, the end of life of football started to come to play and said, hey, I want to attain my master's. And then at the same time, this is the second chance to walk across the stage. So I was able to do both. And it was definitely a major stepping stone in terms of helping me to make that successful transition into business.
Right, yeah. I mean, being able to also complete, two of your dreams, playing professional football and walking across that stage, I'm sure pretty cool. And then the transition period, like you mentioned, a lot of athletes, I don't feel like they think about life after their professional career. So, really smart that you were kind of able to do that and do both. So I'm sure that made the transition pretty easy, or at least easier for you. So what was that transition actually like, going from the NFL into the business corporate world?
Very humbling. Very, very humbling. You go from being an individual that, wherever you go, people are happy to take your picture, take pictures with you, signing autographs, to, now, you're entry level. You're once again a rookie in your life. And so you're learning the game. You have to be, and I think there's a lot of comparisons and similarities with football as well as, corporate America, that helps to balance out. So if you can use some of those same principles, it'll definitely help to guide you. But it is a very humbling path to get yourself there, but you have to be consistent in that process. And so for me, taking the direction of starting off in sales, I started off in IT sales for telecommunications and cloud solutions, and I had no idea what any of that stuff meant walking into it. But it was the same effort that I took that made me successful in football, which was being the first one on the field and the last one to leave on those practice days, and studying and understanding what I'm great at or what I'm good at and how I can be great at that, and what I'm not good at and how I can get better at it. I took those same principles into that, and it's helped me off the field in terms of making that transition. So from working my way there to, finding a amazing opportunity with the current company I work with now, R.L. Canning, who does great things in the public and private sector for managed services and IT, and, utilizing those things as well as those relationships that I was able to build along the way. And so for me, the principles that got me in football, being functional excellent, a person of integrity, treating people as I want to be treated, those things balance on field as well as off field.
Right, yeah. I feel like a lot of it comes back to that mindset as well. Just like you kind of said, being the first one on the field, last one to leave. Translating back into the corporate world, it has allowed you to have that success as well. Very cool indeed. Well, Gemará, thank you so much for your time. We're running out of time. Where can our listeners go to get more information or just connect with you?
Oh, man. LinkedIn is one of the things. I'm not really heavy on social media, but I'm consistently doing things within the community to help rebrand myself. So, you can Google me, Gemará Williams. You'll find different things of what I'm doing there, as well as LinkedIn.
Well, there you go. Make sure to go check out LinkedIn, check out the webs as well. Thank you, Gemará, again so much for your time. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this.
For singers looking for a fun all-in-one wireless karaoke mic with a built-in mixer speaker and its own light show, Voco Bro's pop-up Oki microphone is for you. It connects to a smartphone or tablet via Bluetooth, and it accesses YouTube and numerous karaoke apps for hours of entertainment. An onboard MP3 player allows singers to perform with recorded MP3 tracks. Its multicolor LED lights with on-off switch will automatically dance to the beat of the music, adding visual excitement to any karaoke session. Find it at VocoPro.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Anthony Smith, a former NFL safety and two-time Super Bowl champion. Anthony, as well as fellow NFL vet Julius Williams, founded the organization Battle of the Trenches in 2015. The Battle of the Trenches organization and its programs are designed to help at-risk youth develop as positive young men through team sports and mentoring. Anthony and the organization are teaming up with elite talent for their annual Combine and All-Star Game. And Anthony's here to share more on that as well as his NFL career. With that, hey Anthony, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. So to start off, before I kind of get into any of the rest of this stuff, I just want to know how you kind of got into football in the first place and then how that led to you partaking in an NFL career.
It was actually I was 5 years old when I started, man. I was actually in a park, and I had tackled one of my aunts, and from that moment on, they seen something in me, and then they was like, we got to get him in football, and my mom, she was a little bit hesitant at first, but then she finally let me play, and the rest is history.
Right, and then how did kind of that transition into you making it kind of more competitive and then up until the point where you were playing at the highest level in the NFL?
For me starting that early, man, it just gave me a lot more confidence in the game, man, because that it's a game of confidence, and the more you know and learn, the more confident you can be and the more plays you can make and a better player you will be. So I want to give a lot of props to my coaches. We had great Little League coaches, fundamental coaches, and those fundamentals helped me out through my career because the fancy things they come and go, but it's the fundamentals of the game that keeps you around, and the guys who play the longest, they're the best at keeping and staying fundamental.
Right, exactly. That's definitely, those fundamentals so important for the longevity of your career for sure. Now, having kind of made it to the peak of football and then partaking in two Super Bowls and winning both of them, what was kind of those experiences like, winning kind of the most important game in your sport?
It was a dream come true, man, because, having that vision at that early age and then to actually see yourself working through that whole process of, Little League, then you go to middle school, then high school, and then college, then you get that shot at the pros. So it was a blessing, man, and that's what I did my whole time through it, my whole experience. I just enjoyed the whole process of that journey of, fighting through and getting to those different levels. I treated it like one of my favorite video games, just trying to make it to the different levels and beat those different boards.
Right. Right, yeah. That's pretty relatable for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sure our listeners do too. But as we kind of move on into kind of this battle of the trenches like I was talking about, can you kind of tell me a little bit what this organization is really about and kind of how it got its start?
Yeah, myself and Julius, we played against each other in college. He was at UConn, I was at Syracuse in the Big East, so we knew of each other. Then we got a chance to play against each other, with each other in Jacksonville. And from there, after practices and stuff like that, us and a few other buddies, we used to always go to, one of our houses and just powwow and talk about stuff. And, giving back to the community and helping the next generation was always a topic of discussion. So after I retired first, and then when Julius was done, we just one of those days was just in the garage and had a conversation. Was like, let's do it. And then from that point on, we just did it. And Battle of the Trenches was created, and from that point on, we've been developing, help develop the youth in our communities, and we do it through mentoring and sports. We have after-school programs. They're usually 2 hours. The first hour is we do character building, and then the second hour we do activities, and mainly us we do football, since that's what we do. but we have other different partners and resources that, we invite into the program and give the guys different exposure to different things, not just football, because 99.7% of guys don't make it. So you got to be able to do something else. So our biggest thing is getting guys more exposure to things other than just the main, just music and sports and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, I think it's definitely a really, really great initiative for sure. Now, can you also, like I said before, kind of partnering with Elite Talent and their president and CEO, Bobby Morgan, so for their combine and their All-Star game that's coming up. So can you kind of speak on what that partnership is all about?
Yeah, Bobby, he's a great friend. We met through some mutual friends, and we all had the same goals and vision. And from that point on, we just formed a allegiance and trying to put all the pieces together for guys who are trying to do the things that we got a chance to do, and kind of cut out all the riffraff of some of the negative things that goes on within sports. So just trying to give these guys a clear path and vision to their goals and what they're trying to get done.
Right, yeah, and we'll be speaking to Bobby in some future shows, so for all our listeners, make sure to stay tuned for that interview. Definitely going to be some great stuff. And Anthony, through these different initiatives and your organization, what kind of is your main goal or hope, or what do you kind of want to achieve by doing all of these separate events?
Just for everyone to have faith and believe that whatever their goal is can be accomplished, because we all have, different goals and visions, but at the end of the day, they all can be accomplished. It's just about surrounding yourself with the right people and keeping that vision and focus.
Yeah, definitely love that mindset for sure. Well, Anthony, we're running out of time. Thank you so much for your time. Where can our listeners go to get more information or just to connect with you?
battleofthetrenches.com, and stay updated and get updated on everything we're doing.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to go check out the website and check out the social media platforms as well. Anthony, thank you again so much for your time. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this short break.
If you have a lot of devices that are always power hungry, get the Charge Hub Power Station 360 Surge Protector Power Strip from LimitlessInnovations.com. It's the most effective charging station on the market today. It features quick and convenient charging up to 10 devices simultaneously. That's juice for 10 devices all at once. The Charge Hub 360 is also designed with a safety power surge to protect all gadgets and devices while providing optimal charge. Find it at LimitlessInnovations.com.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
All right, guys, as always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, we're on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. You know what time it is. We're pivoting it on over to the Hardwood, talking some hoops talk. I mean, the NBA is obviously in full swing. Lots of stuff going on. Toronto, probably the best team in the East. Oh, wait, here come the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right, the Bucks absolutely destroy probably the best team in the NBA on Thursday, and it's the Golden State Warriors. Beat them by over 20. Giannis Antetokounmpo could honestly be in MVP race this year, depending on how the rest of this year goes. I mean, absolutely just put the team on his back. But the most offensive production from that team, believe it or not, was Eric Bledsoe. Yes, you Phoenix Suns fans remember, I don't want to be here. That tweet from last year where it's Eric Bledsoe got out of Phoenix, went to Milwaukee, didn't really do much last year, was kind of irrelevant, but showed why he was a top offensive guard in the league for the Suns in years past, with a 26-point performance to lead the Bucks in their victory over the Golden State Warriors. And yes, Toronto's playing really well. Yes, Milwaukee's playing really well. I mean, the Celtics, I still feel like, are the scariest team in the Eastern Conference, no matter what really their record is. Their weapons overall as a unit, it's really scary to think of what type of matchups they can present on the court. And then you also have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are also a scary team too. So the East is really starting to trend upward in overall talent level and competition. But the West, obviously, still the conference to beat. You have Golden State. You have the new look Lakers, who, yes, are struggling. But, I mean, you can never discount a LeBron James-led team in the playoffs. I mean, no matter what, LeBron James is going to do something that is going to push his team over the edge. I mean, he did it with Cleveland last year. Cleveland, think of it last year, Cleveland swept the number 1 seed Toronto Raptors in 4 games. Nobody thought that was going to happen. So LeBron James just does some crazy things. And then I think, you have Oklahoma City. Houston is still in the conversation, even though they're not playing great either. On Thursday, they got smacked by the Thunder 98-80. So their offense is looking pretty inept right now. But, you still have Houston in that mix. Denver is really proving some people wrong this year. They look like the team, a team to beat this year as well. And then New Orleans too. So many different teams in the Western Conference gonna pose a threat in the playoffs. But like I said, lots of stuff going on in the NBA. I think it's a 4-team race. If you want to hear my hot take, Milwaukee and then Boston in the Eastern Conference, and it's gonna be the Lakers and Warriors out west. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @SportsWatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at The Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog Ace and Kern.